Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jim Moran, and I'm going to try to figure out what in the world is a Plague Tale Innocence. This is a game produced by Asobo Studio, and that game studio is responsible for quite a few different genres, I would say. They have brought us The Crew 2, Flight Simulator, Recore, but also weird ones that like Zoo Tycoon, Wall-E, Toy Story 3, the video game, so it's safe to say that they don't really have a set genre of games that they kind of specialize on. So this is quite different than all of the other stuff that they've developed. It is also published by Focus Home Interactive, and they're both French companies, so it kind of brings this whole dynamic together since the game takes place in Aquitaine, which is a former nation of France, but we'll get into that later. First, let's have a look at the options menu. Looking at the settings, you're going to notice that this video is in ultra wide, and that's a damn lie. Let's see why. The resolution for ultra wide exists, but when you first launch the game, you're going to notice there's going to be some black bars on either side. That is because the aspect ratio is not ultra wide. It's going to be 16:9 instead of 21:9. The way that you can fix that is by downloading a hex editor and just changing two values to a certain code. The whole process is very easy. I would say even for someone that is not quite literate when it comes to these things, as I am not. I don't know how to hex edit, but I will be posting a link to the Steam thread that helped me out with this. The guy pretty much summarizes step by step what you have to do, so as long as you follow the instructions, you're going to be perfectly fine. Let's look at the rest of the options here. Brightness, cool. Screen resolution, great. Display mode, you can do borderless, windowed, non-borderless, windowed, and everything. And you have some presets for the graphics, but advanced settings will allow you to turn this obnoxious vomit of an option, chromatic aberration, to low. I haven't really noticed any while I'm playing, so I'm hoping the low means off. But it really ruins the game if you enable that. Draw distance, shadow maps, volumetric lights, ambient occlusion. All nice options to have, absolutely. And depth of field, always turn that off for me because it ruins the image quality of what you're looking at. There's no reason for me to have it on. Contact shadows, light shafts, screen space reflections, bloom, anti-aliasing. I turned it down to improve performance, and you kind of need to because the game runs heavy. And texture quality. You're going to notice a lot of light related settings. It is best to turn all of them on because the game heavily relies on atmosphere and contrast. It is incredible how great this game can look. You can see on the background the light shafts and the reflections of it on each individual mouse. It also takes a toll on your machine, but it is absolutely necessary to get the full experience. So that's the graphics settings. We're going to go back. I don't want to mess anything up. You can customize the controls either on the keyboard or the controller. I always play on keyboard and mouse unless I absolutely have to play on a controller. You can change the setups on the controllers you have too. It doesn't really change much, but it's always good to have the change for those who need it. Camera, you have some sensitivity options. I had to turn it down a little bit because it was too high. You can change the language. I like how much of emphasis they've put in customizing your experience. That's always respectable. And then you can change aim assist. I have it on because this is not a skills-based game. This is an adventure game. This is a storytelling game. You're not going to be measuring your KDA on this game. You're going to be in for the ride. Solve a little bit of the puzzles. They're kind of easy. We'll get to that on the gameplay. And just enjoy the ride, really. There's no difficulty setting because the game, I believe, is a little bit easier than what people may think. The puzzles don't really pose a challenge because after a few seconds it is pretty clear what you have to do. And I'll expand to that later. You can hide the HUD. That's nice because it immerses you. And then change a few more of the HUD options. So far so good on the options. It's not really missing a lot that I would like to have seen. I would have liked to have seen more ultra-wide support. It's kind of silly that it has the resolution on there, but not the actual aspect ratio. I don't know how that works, but I'll say that it was a lot easier to change the aspect ratio in this game than it was on Outer Worlds. Absolutely a lot easier. I haven't seen a field of view option. I always like to see a field of view option. However, can't win them all, guys. So you have some extras that you can watch after going through the missions. Right now I don't have any because I'm on a new save. So let's start a new game. We are gonna be doing the standard HUD just so that you guys can see what it looks like, and we're gonna be confirming. So there's a little glitch that happens when you have the hex editor enabled, and we're gonna see it here. There's gonna be some red lines, but that goes away immediately. On the bottom right, when it's the rhombus symbol, that means that the game is saving. And right off the bat, you're gonna notice that the game looks breathtaking. The trees, the lighting, it's realistic. The developers have made an excellent job. They have done an excellent job at creating a world that is alive. And not alive in the sense that, oh look, there's parties here, there's people, there's this and that, because most of the time, there's nothing. There's death, there's plague, and there's misery. And there's Inquisition soldiers trying to kill you, and there's people chasing you down the streets to kill you, and there's rats trying to kill you. 99% of the things in this world are trying to kill you, so it's not like they're lifelike. What I mean by lifelike is, it is believable. It looks like a real world. It's not ugly. I haven't noticed anything in particular that makes me hate it. It's just an amazing world. It's incredible that they've created this. So let's talk about the gameplay a little bit. You are controlling Amisha primarily. She is the older sister of Hugo. Hugo is the little brother, and hopefully we'll get to that in this video. But on the second chapter, your estate gets attacked by Inquisition soldiers, and they pretty much kill everyone. They slaughter your dad, they stab your mom, but before your mom gets stabbed, she instructs you to go find a doctor called Laurentius, and he is supposed to help you with whatever is going on. The game takes place on 1347, I believe. 1348. 1347 was the beginning, the inception of the Black Plague, or Black Death. So this game takes place during the early inception of the plague. Your brother has been sick for a very long time, ever since he was born, and the main reason why people are trying to kill you is because they think that your brother created it. Your mother has spent most of her time trying to heal your brother, and she hasn't been successful in that, obviously. So that's the setting of the game, and then you will be trying to embark on your journey right after your mom tells you that you have to go find Laurentius. So that's pretty much the beginning of your journey. You and your brother set off, and it's just you for the most part. You only control the sister. However, I know what to do this because I've played it before. You only control the sister. However, you have the ability, or you're required rather, to send your brother on things to do throughout the puzzle solving, to go into places that you cannot, and crawl through spaces and jump through windows and unlock doors that you simply couldn't have been able to get in. So that gives a little bit of an element on the puzzle solving. However, it doesn't add that much more depth What I mean by that is, as soon as the puzzles come on, you pretty much immediately know what you have to do. It isn't really a mystery. Now, early in the game, you pretty much discover what is happening. It gets pretty dark. This is a good transition throughout the prettiness of the forest, and now we're about to get pretty much crapped on by all the nasty and disgustingness. There's no jumping. You can press space to jump over obstacles. So, as far as the puzzles are concerned, there's not any danger while you are surrounded by mice. Mice can easily be pushed away. I said mice, it's rats. It's nasty ass rats. So as long as you have flame on you, you're gonna be fine. The most difficult part about having the flame on you is you don't really carry torches. You have branches that you pick up and you light up, and they usually run out relatively quickly. So I would say the biggest part of a challenge when it comes to these puzzles is the fact that you have to actually hurry up and get to the next spot. So what you're going to be constantly doing is looking for the next light source when it's not evident as to where you have to go when you light up your torch. Okay, there's going to be a bush thing going on here. No pun intended. And the pig's going to see us, and he's going to run away. So I already knew that. Clearly I've done this before. So the most difficult part about the game is trying to hurry up and discovering where the next light source is so you can light your candles, your sticks. And there's an abundance of them. It's not like you're ever going to run out. So as far as the puzzles are concerned, they're not very challenging. Like I said, you eventually start crafting and you gain abilities, and what I mean by that is you have an ability of throwing you have a sling here, as you can see, and you can throw rocks that explode into flame so that you can light up new areas to go through and block the rats from attacking you. Another thing you can do is throw distraction for the rats that is limited, and they can focus their attacks on that, so that clears the path for you to go through. So you unlock all those through alchemy, and it happens further down the game. You actually don't get a lot of what you're going to be doing in the beginning. The game has a really nice pace. In the beginning, it will the tutorial while you're in your estate, you can't really lose. There we go. So this is the atmosphere of most of the game. It's going to be sludgy, it's going to be dark, it's going to be disgusting. But back to the estate. So hopefully we see this early on. You don't have the opportunity to die. And even when you don't have the opportunity to die in the beginning of the game, it still is nerve-wracking. One thing that this game does well is keep you at the edge of your seat, because it's kind of stressful. It will keep you on your toes. It's creative on the path that you have to take in order to distract the enemies in advance and not get eaten alive. So that's the boar, and the dog is not going to have a much better faith, as we're going to find out soon. So the game does an excellent job of teaching you how to play it. Everything that you do in the beginning of the game, you will be constantly using one after the other. All the strategies that you learn, you're going to be using it. And that is absolutely perfect, because anyone can grab this game and play. Even if you're not a real gamer, you're going to be able to just pick up the game and just play it. And that cannot be said for a lot of games. All these tutorials usually are annoying and pretty much distract me from an enjoyable experience. But not this one. I like this one. So that's pretty much it for the abilities. There's combat in the game. Absolutely, there's combat, which means that if you get hit, you die in one hit. That's it. So try not to get hit. So In the combat, usually you have to disassemble your enemy slowly and kill them. You're going to be facing enemies that have helmets on. They're not easy to take on, so always avoid those guys. You will be facing enemies that don't have helmets on, and they're just a one-hit kill, a headshot. If you have the aim assist on, which I recommend, it is easy to take them out. Absolutely incredibly easy. It's just a one hit. So we're back on the estate here, and one small criticism I have about the game is that you cannot sprint while you're in a sort of a hub area. I find that very frustrating, and sometimes, like now, when people are talking to you, your character is going to slow down enough for the conversation to finish, which means that the developers want you to pay attention, and you absolutely should. But let me choose whether or not I want to listen to it. Let me choose whether or not I want to be able to run through the hub areas and get to the next objective quicker. Not many people have the same amount of patience. I certainly do not have a lot of patience, so I constantly try to run. I know I can't run. Right now I know I cannot run, but I am holding the shift key, hoping that the game will let me do it. Now, one thing I quickly want to mention is, my god, the environments look amazing. Look at this. It even has the wall that has been slowly decaying through the time, and people have kind of painted over it, but it's not done very well. So you can see that it's a noble attempt for sure. But these graphics, the graphical fidelity overall is incredible. You have really high res textures. Your character model is incredible, to say the least. Oh, there she goes. No, turn around the other way. Well, whatever. The lip sync, the voice acting, everything just fits together perfectly. Even areas where you're not going to really be seeing, like this part of the closet. Who's going to be paying attention to this? Nobody. But they've put a lot of attention to it, and I absolutely appreciate that. So back to the gameplay. About combat. You will spend most of your time trying to avoid enemies. You're not going to be able to fight them for long, and that's just part of the gameplay. I don't know why I'm up here. I don't remember this area when I was playing. Oh, I didn't have this. That's cool. You will constantly be requiring to, sometimes quickly, sometimes by taking your time, explore the area and find ways to... Oh, this is where we were escaping earlier. Spoiler alert. You're going to be finding ways to get to crafting materials. Crafting materials will help you upgrade your sling, and you do that on a workbench. Early on in the game, after you get chased down on the next chapter, you're going to be chased down in a village, and an old lady is going to save you, and she's going to have a workbench in which you can craft and upgrade your stuff. It's never going to be... Can you move? Thanks. It's going to be a small cutscene here. So make sure you keep an eye out on crafting material, because that is absolutely necessary. The first upgrade I did was the improved reload, the improved aim speed. If you notice, when I was shooting the apples, it was really slow for it to aim. Once you get that update, boom, it is much better. It makes things a little bit easier. I'm gonna shut up right now so you can hear a little bit of the voice acting.
But it's true! Leon was lying there on the ground, and then he was...
Shh! You are to stay here with your brother.
What? Why? What's
Close
happening?
the door behind me and do not open the shutters, whatever happens.
But... Hugo...
He is not contagious. I realize you hardly know him, but he will be all right. Trust me, Amicia.
Yes, Mother.
So the voice acting is great, if not amazing. The most that I've enjoyed the voice acting is between the sister and the brother. It really helps capture the feeling of despair and exhaustion and the attempt to stay brave and hopeful while you really are not, and constantly trying to survive and escape and be strong for the little brother. And the voice actor really does an excellent job at portraying how scared she is, but at the same time, how important it is to stay brave and just keep going for the little brother's sake, who is 4 at the game. And I believe that the Amisha is about 13, but I may be incorrect on that one. So that's a sick helmet, by the way. So the Inquisition is chasing Hugo because they think that he is the one that started the plague. Already from the beginning of the game, you have a dog being mauled to death by rats. You have your father dying, and you have your whole estate going to shambles. So this is what I'm talking about. You can call Hugo, and you can tell him to stay while you progress. Sometimes that's important. You'll do that in the tutorial. It is going to be very helpful. So this is the stealth aspect of the game. You're going to be spending a lot of time doing this. But back to the voice acting and the sound a little bit. The score is just incredible. The music is just so great. There's violins, there's drums, there's so many things. It's like a classical masterpiece. People are dying left and right. The game does an excellent job. Oh. Okay, I forgot. The game does an excellent job at immersing you. It keeps you on the edge of your seat. It makes you feel what the characters are feeling, and the music absolutely helps, because the music is one of the most important aspects when it comes to immersing yourself in an environment and in a situation. It explains things. It explains things. It explains things that no one else can in any other way. That is pretty grim.
We need to move. Don't look.
If you get stuck in a place, usually the character is going to say something like, we need to look for this, we need to do that, we need to figure out how to do that, and that kind of gives you clues on what to do next. Like the lighting effects, holy crap, look how great and realistic it is. It's just an incredible game overall. I haven't really spoiled much about the story. These are things that you figure out very early on. Nothing that I've said really ruins the story. You're going to be figuring out all this stuff very quickly.
Well. Where do you think you're going?
There's not much I have to criticize about the game, besides the inability to completely turn off depth of field and chromatic aberration. I noticed it in the scene when the dad was dying, that there was a lot of chromatic aberration, and that kind of threw me off. I also criticized the fact that there's no true ultra-wide support, and we have to go out of our way to enable it. And I also criticized the fact that there's no field of view slider. You may consider them small things. I consider them big, but few. They're few criticisms. They're not many, but they're quite big. However, in the grand scheme of things, the game does an excellent job overall to kind of negate the negative aspect of not having things that are considered necessary, if not given for a lot of gaming titles. This whole hub area of the estate in the beginning of the game is one big, beautiful, nicely voice acted tutorial. So definitely pay attention. Usually I hate tutorials in games. I'm more of a type of just let me play the game, let me fail, let me do whatever I want. But animations and such, everything is just incredible. There's not a huge challenge with the game, but again, this is going to be a storytelling game. It's going to be a game where you just sit down, listen to the music, try a little bit on the puzzles, but not too much to ruin the adventure and the immersion, and just have a good time with it. So there you go, guys. This has been A Plague Tale: Innocence. It is available on Steam for, I believe, $30, or your regional equivalent. I think it's $40. This is part of the what you'll be doing, throwing rocks to distract guards. So this is A Plague Tale: Innocence. The developers are working on a sequel for the game, or a new episode, I should say. I don't know if it's going to be a direct sequel or not, but I'm looking forward to see what these guys have coming. I really am. I'm hoping it's something good. I'm sure it's going to be something good.
Can't go, Mother.
Maybe by throwing one of these pots.
Really?
The noise will attract him. We'll slip past behind his back.
All right.
Excellent. That noise.
Easy.
Better go see what it was.
Come on.
Boom. I'm a pro. That's mostly what I had to say about the game. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time.